today my topic is to tell you something about our new business unit, Hellma Solutions, which is a service provider in the field of individualized spectroscopic solutions for process analytics. But before going into detail with this, just need to find my right screen to click. Yes. I would just want to give you some information about the company Hellma as well. So Hellma is a family-owned company with a history of more than 100 years. It has around 500 employees worldwide, with the main headquarter located in Mülheim im Markgräflerland, which is close to Freiburg. The other employees are working in 5 production sites and in 8 sales subsidiaries worldwide, which are across 3 continents. Hellma covers the full value chain, starting from optical raw materials and optical components to laboratory and process spectroscopy. So we are offering in-house capabilities in the production of high-precision cuvettes, flow cells, process probes, both for as well laboratory and process applications. Within all of these fields, our expertises are ranging from standard products, but also always to individualized optical solutions tailored to the specific needs of a customer. And additionally, as a new business unit, Hellma acts as a solution provider in the field of mostly optical spectroscopy. As I'm part of exactly this business unit, I do have today the opportunity to present you what we are basically working on in our everyday work. So Hellma Solution focuses on the implementation of PAT tools in industrial environments. You may ask now, why do you need a service provider for this? So a typical roadmap of a PAT project looks like much more complicated than often expected in the beginning. So every PAT project begins with a defined need of a customer, with some customers already having special laboratory methods, also in spectroscopy, some with different optical methods or complete different analytical methods, and some start with no analytics at all and are just interested in some process parameter. So for us, the first major step is performing a feasibility testing to check whether spectroscopy is a suitable tool to understand this desired parameter, especially under the real process conditions. So in every process environment, you do have fluctuations in your environmental and process parameters, which can be something like the temperature changes, pressure drops, humidity, and all other kind of batch variations, and so on. So all of this affects basically whether it's possible to introduce a PAT tool with the desired accuracy into your process. Once this feasibility is confirmed, it goes one step further. You do have to choose the correct hardware and software. This can be challenging due to regulatory requirements or harsh process conditions, such as really high pressures or different other environmental conditions. And therefore, you should know or you should choose the correct hardware and software. Finally, all of this has to be mechanically integrated into your process. And after the integration into the process, the real calibration model has to be developed, or if it's applicable, the model that you developed already during the feasibility time or which you had in your lab has to be adapted to the real process conditions that occur now. In the last stage, it goes to a training of the final users within the production plant, as well as to maintain a regular service so that you can be sure that your PAT tool works correctly over time. So now, or just to mention it again, you've already seen now that it is a real complex tool which needs to have several skills of different kind of topics involved. So starting with chemometrics, with process engineering skills, but also regulatory knowledge. So skills that can be rarely available all in-house or which may be fully booked by other projects within the company. So what makes us special in this kind of field is that we do have the full flexibility to choose whatever kind of technical partner we want to work with. So this also means we are not limited to spectroscopic solutions, but our approach is entirely driven by customer specific requirements and can also involve complete other different techniques. We are working in several projects in different industry fields. So this ranges from chemistry to food and beverage to pharmacy, biotechnology, and all of them are bringing their specific requirement and needs. Therefore, we do have a broad portfolio of different products that we're offering to our customers, starting with PAT consulting, which basically aims companies with little prior experiments in the field of process analytics to show and evaluate together with them optimal integration points of several probes, for example, within their process, and to evaluate which parameters are possible to evaluate using PAT and which may be not. In the next step, we're then performing feasibility studies, which means that we check these assumptions that we've made before, both under lab conditions and within real process conditions, by bringing our own loan equipment within the customer side. We are also offering chemometric services where we're using both either customer data or data that we generated within our projects and apply a chemometric model out of it. And finally, all of this leads to the goal to deliver complete solution integrations, which not only includes the spectrometer and the sample interface, but also all the accessory that you need around, such as the control cabinets, communication interfaces, the whole documentation part, which also means that all of this is done ensuring the full compliance with the relevant standards and regulations, such as ATEX for explosive atmospheres, GMP and pharmaceutical manufacturing environments, and so on. Additionally, we also supply customized spectroscopy sensors and probes, which are then tailored to the specific needs of the process environment. And also quite important to know is that we do not stick to the whole plan that you have to come to us, starting with the PAT consulting, do then the feasibility study, buy the model from us, the final integration. So it can also be depending on the customer request that we only support at a certain of these mentioned points. A typical project for us looks like that we start off with a customer inquiry and then together with the customer perform kind of an application analysis. So we learned in our projects that most of the customers don't want to spend a bunch of money in an expensive tool they do not trust in the beginning. So we decided to work with an incremental approach to reduce the economical risk for our customers. So after the application analysis, we're performing mostly free of charge quick check within our lab to show whether this could be possible using spectroscopy. And after this proof of concept is performed, we start with different spectroscopy methods and different equipment types of different suppliers. We then go to the customer side and the actual project for the customer starts. Together with the customer, then we develop a solution which can range from just adding new probes to an already existing spectrometer system they have at their plant, but which can also mean that we integrate a complete new spectrometer and sample interface, or the development of a complete new different specific sensor, which can also be just for this customer. Within this phase of the feasibility study, we are using loan equipment, which means that the customer does not have to buy the whole equipment and reduces the risk for it himself. Depending on the overall complexity of a project, the project times range from several months to several years, which mainly depends on different factors which are individual to each project. So it starts with if the customer already has equipment available at the site, we just have to bring some new probes and have to do the chemometrics. It's much faster than when we have to build up or bring new devices and install them at their place. Sometimes if it can be done using standard equipment, of course, it's also much faster than if we have an individual product development, which has to be fulfilled together with the customer. But also the production schedule of the customer may influence the whole time. So if the customer only does a batch, for example, every 2 weeks, the time definitely is different compared to a customer which has an everyday production where you get your calibration data much faster. So what are we looking for? We're looking always for collaborations with research and industrial partners to work on application-driven projects in the field of spectroscopy. We are also looking for integration and OEM or other technology partnerships to broaden the product portfolio of Hellma Solutions to be able to fulfill even more customer needs in the future. And as a manufacturer and service provider, we also always are eager to learn from application users who have the whole hands-on experiments in the lab and in the field, and therefore know most about their specific needs so that we are able to address these by hopefully interesting product developments. And with this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, and I would be happy if you reach out to me either via mail or through one of the one-to-one meetings in the later phase of this day or the next days.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Are there any questions from the audience right now? I don't see at the moment. Sandra, which do you think is the highest challenge when you described all the way how you work with the customer? It might be some months, might be some years. Is it more the implementation, or is it first to find out which is exactly the challenge they have to face?
It depends on the customer. For some customers, it's just explaining them that PAT may be worth a thought. So most of them are, but we do have our offline analytics. It works. So especially the management part. So talking with the technicians, it's easy to convince them, but it's hard to convince the management to spend so much money for it. So that's one of the hardest part, which takes a lot of time. The other time is mostly spent in a lot of communication and documentation part. So the whole integration in the end is basically one day going to the customer site, install it. But the whole planning beforehand to check whether there are specific needs for the sample interface, if there's special regulations and a lot of documentation stuff that has to be fulfilled. This basically is most of the work that we are doing. So the basic performance of the feasibility itself is not as work intensive as all of the paperwork and communication part.
I see. Thank you very much again.